Is there a strategy that'll help you grow your company faster? CEO Sales Strategies is an investigative business podcast for entrepreneurial people who never stop asking questions. Highly acclaimed sales revenue growth expert Doug C. Brown interviews CEOs, business owners, and professionals who serve them to uncover and share actionable tips and methods behind their bulletproof sales strategies. Topics covered on the show include their failures, struggles, secrets, and processes that help them succeed in selling millions to billions of dollars of their products and services, all with the sole aim of helping you grow your business. If you are eager to know the most effective sales secrets from the A players of the game, then the CEO Sales Strategies podcast is certainly the place to be.
Hey everyone, this is Doug C. Brown with the CEO Sales Strategies Podcast. I have an amazing guest for you today, an outstanding episode, and it is on how to make the switch to get real leverage in your business as an expert, positioning you as an expert. So I went out and found the expert on this. His name is Mr. Ryan Levesque. He is the founder. He is the creator of what's called the Ask Method and the Ask Method Company. And Ryan and his team, they went from zero, organic startup, get this, to this 6-time Inc. fastest growing companies list. 6 years in a row. Think about that. From 2017 to 2022. Now we're in 2023. Ryan and I are going to dive deep into how you can position yourself to create leverage in your business, and how you can use the expertise, even if you think you don't have expertise today, and how you can leverage that through a 3-part model that they have used to go from humble beginnings, zero, to a multi-8-figure company. So without further ado, let's go talk to our expert right now, Mr. Ryan Levesque. Hey, Ryan, welcome to the CEO Sales Strategies Podcast. Thanks so much for being here today.
Doug, it's awesome to be here. I'm excited for a conversation.
I am so excited to have this conversation with you. I've been waiting literally for years, actually, to have you onto this podcast. So I'm so grateful that you're here. You are the CEO and the co-creator of the Ask Method company. And the Ask Method, well, Ryan, why don't you tell people what you do or what the company does, and we'll set the frame for this call.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, really grateful to be here, excited for the conversation. And just a little bit about our company. The Ask Method company is a company that we founded years ago. It's a 6-time Inc. 5000 fastest growing company in America. And we help coaches, course creators, and consultants, and what we call hybrid experts launch, grow, and scale their businesses online. And we do that through a combination of training programs that we offer, as well as a software platform that is integrated into that training.
And today, what's been so gratifying for me, Ryan, is I've been able to see your from the genesis all the way, through this whole process, right? And how you've gone to a multi-8-figure company. And we're going to talk today about how to make the switch to get real leverage in your business as being an expert. And I was so happy to have you on, because the listeners here, they ask this question all the time. It's like, how do I work easier? How do I get more leverage in my business? And, a lot of times it's in their model, right? That they're going there. So how does one get, we're post-pandemic now, right? So how does one now get leverage in their business through becoming a hybrid expert in their business?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, what we see with the experts that we work with, and I would include in that coaches, consultants, creators, course creators, anyone who transforms knowledge and expertise into income, is that often what we see is that people kind of land in this prison that they've, in lack of a better term, they've created for themselves. They've created this business that they were looking to achieve freedom and flexibility and fulfillment, but they end up being tired and trapped. And it has to do with a number of sort of factors. But at the end of the day, really translates to a lack of leverage, and a lack of leverage in three key areas of business, what we describe as attract, enroll, and deliver. So attraction is, bringing leads, bringing clients into your world. Enrollment is transforming those leads into paying clients. And then delivery is, of course, the way in which you deliver your products or services. And each of those key pieces or key pillars of the business are opportunities to create a bottleneck in your business. Oftentimes, the founder or the CEO, the entrepreneur, can be a bottleneck in one or more of those places. And the way to get out of that prison, to go from tired and trapped to freedom and flexibility, is by using one or more key leverage points that can take you from kind of being in the low leverage version of the business to a much higher leverage version of the business. So that, I think, is a good kind of opening foray. Of course, we'll dive deeper into the conversation, but I think that is a good place to jump off.
So I have a question, because,
Sure.
you grew your company organically, because I know your backstory.
Yeah.
And were there any times in the growth of the company, becoming, 6-time Inc. fastest growing company, anytime in your process, did you ever have a bottleneck in the business where it was like, oh my gosh, we have to maybe change something?
Yeah, absolutely. In each of those three key areas in our business, we've seen this growth pattern in our own company. So for those not familiar, just a quick kind of 30-second backstory of how we started this business. This company started organically. We did not take on any outside funding. We didn't take on any outside debt. And it really started with a one-person consulting business. And that's what I was doing. I was a one-man band. I was a one-person consulting business. And we transformed that consulting business into now close to 100 team members, employees around the world, that deliver our products and services in a much more leveraged way. And if we look at each of those kind of three key pillars, attract, enroll, deliver, I'll talk a little bit about what the bottlenecks were in my business and what we found to be the bottlenecks in most experts' businesses as well. So starting with the end in mind, deliver. The big leverage point where people tend to get stuck is making the transition from one-on-one client delivery to a group model, one-to-many, going from one-to-one to one-to-many. When I first started in my business, I was working with clients one-on-one. And in fact, I reached a point where I think I was working with 27 clients at one time. These were one-on-one client calls that I was having every single week. And it reached a point, and I know, Doug, you know my story, where I was literally on the phone sun up till sundown every day of the week. I couldn't even take a vacation. We'd go on vacation and I still had these client calls that I had to hit. And my body reached a breaking point where I actually came to a place where I was rushed into the emergency room and my pancreas had stopped working. My kidneys were failing. I had reached this level of fatigue, and basically the stress I had put on my body by pushing myself too hard put me into a state known as DKA, diabetic ketoacidosis. And in my 30s, I became a type 1 diabetic. My pancreas failed to produce insulin. It stopped working. And I'm on an insulin pump today because of that. And so coming out of that experience, I realized I was pushing myself too hard. I was this bottleneck because everything was coming through me, and I needed to make a change. I needed to find a way that I could enlist the support of others to deliver the transformation that I was providing myself through much smarter work as opposed to harder work. So that's on the delivery side of things. That's a big bottleneck. The next bottlenecks that we see, if we move kind of to the stage before that, which is enrollment, enrolling people into your programs. The low leverage way of enrollment is taking on one-on-one calls with your prospective clients day in and day out, all day, every day. And that's where I was as well. I was taking enrollment calls with clients. Every call, I felt like I was repeating myself over and over again. I was saying the same spiel. I was going through the same questions. It was a highly repeated process. And then what I realized was that there was a better way. And that better way was to have some form of recorded presentation. We call it a workshop in our world, whereby you can give people the ownership experience of what it's like working with you and have a leveraged message going out to a group of people at the same time. What this does, and what I found this to do for me myself, is that instead of having to repeat myself on every single one of these calls, I could have one message out there in the world, and that went out to everybody. I was only inviting highly qualified prospects to get on the phone with me after they had gone through one of these workshops. They're pre-educated, pre-qualified, And on top of that, it drove my close rate to the roof because I was only getting on the phone with people who were ready to take action and had a few questions that they wanted to sort out. So that's a key leverage point, moving from one-on-one calls to some form of group presentation on the enrollment side of your business. And then last but not least, on the attraction side, what we find for most of the experts that we work with, and I myself was in that same situation, going from relying on warm contacts to cold traffic. In other words, being able to go from relying on your personal Rolodex of people that you know to getting strangers on the internet to pay you money. That is the key unlock. That's the key leverage point. And for me, that was a huge unlock because like all of us, there are only so many people that you know, right? And you can ask like, who do you know? Who do you know? And at some point you reach a ceiling and it's exhausting because you're spending all your time networking and reaching out to people and connecting with different groups and going to events. And you can do that, but it creates yet another bottleneck in your business if that's the only way that you can collect and generate leads. So those are kind of the three key areas. Those represent the three key transition points. So just to recap it, on the delivery side of your business, going from one-on-one to one-to-many. On the enrollment side of your business, going from one-on-one calls to a group presentation. And on the attraction side, going from warm contacts to cold traffic. When you're able to solve those three problems and you've decoupled your income from your time, you've created a business that allows you to have more income and more impact without working more hours, and you can build a business that works around your life.
All right. So I just want to recap this. So we have three areas: attract, enroll, deliver.
Yes.
So deliver says how I'm delivering my products or services in my business. And I want to go from one-on-one work to one-on-many work. Right. So the enrollment side is I want to go from one-on-one to group. May I call them presentations in a lot of ways?
Like you call it presentation. Like we typically in our world, and I'll talk about kind of the unique approach that we have in each of these areas that's been transformative for our business and for our clients' business. But I think a group presentation is a good way to think about it, whatever form that might take, online, offline, in person, over Zoom, over the internet. But a group presentation, I think, is the kind of high level way to think about it.
Okay. And so the attraction, which, is how do I get strangers that I don't even know attracted to me via the internet and bringing them in? So I've got to be thinking that people are sitting, in their cars listening to this or writing notes feverishly here are going, all right, Ryan, you got me. All right. How do I get people I don't even know, attract them to me so that I can do this in a group format and deliver this with leverage?
Yes, exactly.
That's the hybrid expert model.
This is the hybrid expert model. And so let's just talk about that term for a minute, and then we'll talk about kind of the unique solution in each of these three key areas. So in fact, before I do that, what I would love to invite everyone to do, if you're listening to this, or if you're watching this, whatever format you might be consuming this in right now, is just to reflect for a moment, just to kind of think about your own situation, your own life, your own business. If you were to get leverage in one of these three key areas, either attraction, enrollment, or delivery, if you were to pick one of those areas right now, which of those areas represents the area that if you were to get more leverage, would have the biggest positive impact on your life? What would be the game changer for you? What would be transformative if you were to focus in on that one area right now? Is it delivery? Are you finding yourself in client delivery and trapped in that prison, so to speak? Is it enrollment? Are you finding yourself trapped with client enrollment and that being the biggest bottleneck? Or is it client attraction? Is it having to network yourself to death and reach out to every person that you know and constantly be pinging and pushing people to find more leads in your business? If you had to pick one of those areas, just for your own self personally, think about which of these areas could have the biggest impact. For many of us, the answer is going to be all three. For some of us, it might be a very distinct answer that it's definitely in this area right here. And I think that's going to be helpful as we frame the remainder of our time here together in our conversation as you think about where to focus your time. Now let's talk about the solution in each of these three areas that we found to be more effective than anything else, and in our own business and in our clients' businesses. Now, when we talk about the clients that we work with, to answer your question, Doug, a hybrid expert, what does that mean? We tend to work with a lot of people who transform their knowledge into expertise, and they tend to do a bit of several different things. They might do some coaching. They might do some consulting. They might have a course or a membership that they might offer. They might be an author. They might have written a book. They might do some speaking. They might do some teaching and training, but they don't necessarily consider themselves just a coach or just an author or just a speaker. Yes, they do those things, but the reality is they're kind of a hybrid. So if you find yourself in that situation right now and you are more of a hybrid expert, you kind of do a few different things, a mix that's maybe unique to you, then the model that I'm going to walk you through here is something that I think could potentially be really beneficial to you. Because the reality is none of us fit inside a box. There is no one size fits all answer. We all have different priorities. We all have different strengths and gifts and weaknesses and challenges. We all have other different things going on in our lives that are important to us. And what you want is a business that allows you to have a life. You want a business that works around your life, not the other way around. You don't want to have to fit your life around your business. And so this model, this hybrid expert model, you're going to find really represents a hybrid of the best of many worlds combined together in a very unique way. So what does that look like? On the delivery side of business, the solution that we found to be more effective than anything else is what we call a hybrid program. Now, what is a hybrid program? A hybrid program is a single program that all roads lead into in your business. We see a lot of complexity in the expert businesses that we support. People are selling a lot of different things and it creates complexity. And they say, man, I wish I could just simplify my business. A hybrid program does just that. A hybrid program pulls from a few key areas and allows you to do a mix of one-on-one and group work in the way that makes sense. So for example, you might have a hybrid program where you might have some element of what you do for your clients done in a one-on-one way. It could be a one-on-one kickoff call or a periodic check-in that you have with clients, but you're doing mostly leveraged group work where it's appropriate and it's effective. So you're able to have kind of the best of all worlds, deliver a bespoke, high-level experience for people in the one-on-one way, but the vast majority of what you're doing is in a group setting. That's in fact what we do and what we've developed in our company. So that's a hybrid program. On the enrollment side of things, the solution here is what we call a hybrid workshop. What does that mean exactly? A hybrid workshop is not just an education tool. It's not just a selling tool. It's a combination of both. It's an opportunity where you can deliver an interactive experience for your prospective clients, and you can do it in a leveraged way, and you can use automation and technology in a way that we've developed where the interaction can take place without you having to deliver that same presentation live over and over and over again. In other words, do it live once and create the feeling like it's a live experience without you having to show up day in, day out, repeating yourself over and over again. The other hybrid element of this is that you still might drive people to a phone call to close the sale, but that phone call doesn't necessarily need to be with you. It can be with a member of your team. It could be an enrollment specialist that you've invited to complete the sale. But most of the heavy lifting has been done in this group hybrid format so that by the time the individual gets on the phone with a member of your team, they're 90% of the way closed, and we just got to complete the last few steps and answer any final questions. That's the hybrid program. That's the hybrid workshop. On the attraction side of things, we have the hybrid funnel. What does that look like exactly? Well, a hybrid funnel is one where you're leveraging the learnings from those warm contacts and you're using it to inform the cold traffic audiences that you're going after based on the communities and contacts that you have relationships right now. You're leveraging both the data that you know about these individuals. What are the common themes, the commonalities? What are the common aspects of the people that you've had the most success with that are warm to you? And how do we leverage that to reach cold audiences that allow you to scale your business beyond just that circle of friends that you might have going into your business? So the hybrid expert model in a nutshell combines a hybrid funnel with a hybrid workshop and a hybrid program to attract, enroll, and deliver your products or services to your audience.
We're speaking with Mr. Ryan Levesque, and Ryan is the CEO and co-creator of the Ask Method company. Ryan, So this sounds I know people are going, wait a minute, this sounds too good to be true, Ryan. I mean, it's just, will it work for me? Right. So that fear button comes up for them. Can they go from one to many? And now I'm going to give this a plug because I've done this. Right. So for example, when I was in the telecommunications business specifically, we had an office in Manchester. You're originally from New Hampshire. And I created this idea, like I could get people who sell telephone systems to give me inbound leads, because these people who service these companies, they had relationships for 30 years sometimes with these people, right? So there's high trust built in. So I created a workshop on how do you double sales in your phone services. And I created what you call a workshop model. Back then, because I'm much older, back then we didn't have the internet as well. But we created this workshop model and we taught people how to double their sales. Well, what ultimately happened is we built this relationship and we leaned the presentation, the workshop, we leaned that workshop toward how our services could complement them to show them how they could sell new phone systems by lowering their clients' phone bills. And in turn, the client now could afford a brand new phone system because we found untapped money for them to create a lease program for their business. Now, this is in a B2B setting, so I want people to understand that this works B2B as well. Here's what happened. I became the number one sales rep in that company out of 323 people. And I had 62 incoming calls a day coming into my phone for leads, Ryan. And I had to hire 2 assistants to cover those 62 incoming calls. So what I'm hearing you say is, I did one facet of that and then added another one. But if you pull all 3 of these together, you get the ultimate leverage in a business. Did I get that correct?
You're taking yourself out of being in your business so that you can work on your business, and you're removing yourself as the bottleneck. So if you're the bottleneck on the attraction phase, all leads come through for you. By using the hybrid funnel model, you've taken yourself out of that bottleneck. On the enrollment side of the business, if everything has to come through you because you are the chief salesperson in your business, and whether that's calls, presentations, workshops, webinars, speaking engagements, whatever it may be, if all things need to come through you, by creating a leveraged recorded presentation that people can have that experience as if they were live, you've now taken yourself out as being the bottleneck in that step of the business. And then last but not least, on the delivery side of, instead of working with every single one of your clients one-on-one, where you're limited by your calendar, instead of doing it like that, by doing it in a group way where you can now expand exponentially, you're not limited by the number of hours that you have in the day. So by eliminating these 3 bottlenecks in your business, you've given yourself leverage by decoupling your income from your time. You've disconnected those 2 things from one another, and you've created a paradigm, an actual practical, tactical pathway to make that happen. Because it all sounds great theoretically, philosophically, we all get this idea, but then it comes down to, okay, so how do I actually make these transitions? How do I actually take the leap? Because I can imagine for someone listening to this right now, you probably have some objections in your mind. You might be thinking, yeah, but I can't do that because my market is different. People would not buy that. My solution doesn't lend itself to this model. And if you're having those thoughts going through your mind right now, what I would just invite you to do, even if just it's a thought exercise, as a sort of just pretend, imagine for a moment that the thoughts that you have right now are they're just hallucinations. And imagine if those hallucinations that you might be having are not in fact true, just a belief, just something that you believe to be true right now, but may not be true. We've all had things in our lives that at some point we believe to be true, right? We believe that, Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny were delivering us presents and eggs. And at one point in our lives, we realized, okay, that belief is no longer true. So we've all had that experience of believing something that was true that turned out not to be true. So if we just suspend that belief for a moment, what I would invite you to do, and we can pick one of these areas, maybe we'll pick deliver. Instead of trying to challenge yourself to say, all right, how do I go from a one-on-one paradigm to a group paradigm and making a wholesale switch overnight, which is where most people get stuck. This is where most people struggle in this transition. They say, but the work that I do is like this. I can't imagine doing that same thing with a group of people all at once. We have confidential conversations. It's too private. It's too personal. It's too one-on-one. I could give you a list of all the things that people struggle with in that transition. So instead of trying to make that wholesale transition right now, overnight, the thought exercise that I'd invite you to go through right here, right now is, if you were to identify one aspect to what it is that you do, just one thing, one bite-sized thing that could be delivered in a small group format. Maybe not everything, but taking it a step further, is there one thing that you do that could actually be more effective in a small group setting as opposed to in a one-on-one setting? And I'll give you an example of this in action. So one of our clients is a hybrid expert, and he helps parents who have students who are applying to elite colleges and universities. So they want to get into one of the top universities in the United States or around the world. So we're talking the Harvards, the Yales, the Princetons, the Stanfords of the world. And these parents pay this consultant a very high fee for the work that he does to help them get into an institution. And he had this limiting belief that he would devalue his brand if he were to move people into a group setting. And the question that I asked him was as follows. I said, what is the value in actually getting into one of these elite universities? Do you really have that much better of an education at Harvard than you do at a state college? Is it really that much better? Or is the value in part the network that you instantly get yourself access to? The fact that you become a Harvard alum, and the fact that that Harvard name opens doors, and the fact that you're instantly connected to this worldwide network of incredibly high achieving people around the world. Is it the network of people? Is it the community that's just as valuable as the education itself? And of course, he immediately agreed to that. And so my question to him was, by keeping your clients in isolation from one another, all of these incredibly successful, driven students who are looking to get to the next level, are you perhaps withholding what could be an incredibly valuable benefit for them to be connected to one another? Could you create a small group of these rising stars, these high flyers, whereby getting to know one another and building this network could actually fast track that process and be incredibly valuable? And then what about the parents? As a parent of kids, I'm sure you can relate to this, Doug. There are times where, imagine as a parent, you've probably felt the same isolation that I felt. Am I the only one going through this right now?
Right.
Or other parents who have kids of a similar age, are they going through the same set of challenges and emotions and heartache and having that support group? And he instantly said, yes, that could be incredibly valuable. And then I said, well, could it actually raise the value of your program by offering that group component instead of doing everything one-on-one? Well, yes, it could. And so by extension, are there aspects of your program that could actually be a better client experience? Not a downsell, not a almost as good as, but a better than experience by moving parts of what you do in a group fashion. Like anything in life, this is a muscle that you need to build. And before you can bench press 500 pounds at the gym, you've got to step into the gym and just touch the bar. You've got to dip your toe in. You've got to try just a little something. So my challenge for everyone listening to this or watching this right now is identify an aspect of your program that could be delivered in a group setting and give yourself permission to try an experiment. One little thing, that's it. You don't have to make the wholesale transition overnight, but what is one tiny little micro aspect of your business whereby you could get leverage? And you repeat that process over and over and over again until you achieve the level of leverage that you're looking to achieve in each of these pillars.
We're speaking with Mr. Ryan Levesque. He's the founder, co-creator and the CEO of the Ask Method company. They're at www.askmethod.com. Ryan, there's so much I could unpack here. So firstly, you shattered my world. Santa Claus isn't real. I didn't know that until now. So thank you.
I know we need to put a warning on this. Not listening to this with small kiddos or kids at heart.
Yes.
Magic of Christmas. The reality is Santa is real. The Easter Bunny is real, just in not the way that maybe we envisioned them to be real at 5 years old.
I want to validate through my experience what you just said, because when I came to the idea of with the corporate, when I was working corporate, I came to the idea to the executive manager, and they go, "Oh, no, you cannot put phone vendors together. They're competitors. They're not going to want to get in the same room with you or get on an internet connection with you, because think about it. They have proprietary secrets, they have proprietary clients, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera." There were all this stuff that was coming up. And what I realized, Ryan, is the word you said was isolation, right? As a parent, we can sometimes feel like, oh, we're the only one going through this. But the reality is, if we just talk to other parents, where it's like, oh yeah, I went through this, right? And that's what was happening with these people selling phone systems. They were all having similar challenges. When I brought them together in a workshop format, we had open exchange of information. The interesting part is that company, which by the way grew from 68 million to 362 million in the 2 years I was there, that company sold for $2 billion. One of their mainstay ways of getting customers was that idea that I originally pioneered, because they realized, oh, wow, he's the number one. So they started stamping it across the whole United States. Those groups today still exist. Wow. And we're talking 20 something years ago. So I want to affirm your challenge to everybody and say, look, we all have doubts, fears, we try stuff. Sometimes it doesn't work. And then we go, well, it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, probably will be a duck again. Not necessarily. So we want to keep going and pushing through those barriers. And one of your core values in your company, because I've been doing some background work on your company, is called courage and grit. And I love that on your website. Would you just be kind enough to tell people what that particular aspect of the Ask Method is?
Yeah, courage and grit is one of our core values. Our core values in our company are courage and grit, continuous improvement. And what I'll talk about first with respect to courage and grit is kind of where that comes from, and customer success. So courage and grit, continuous improvement, customer success, and courage and grit is what I want to touch on here. Courage and grit is something that certainly, as one of the founders of our business, has been a kind of a personal core value for me. It's a core value in our family as well that we try to pass on to our kids, and it's something my parents passed on to me. And it's really this idea that you really only need two ingredients in life to be successful. You need courage, which is not, it's about doing the stuff that you're scared of in spite of that fear. And we all have things that we are fearful of. And grit is picking yourself up off the pavement when you skin your knees and something doesn't work and sticking with it. The name of the game is to stay in the game until you win the game. And the way you win the game is by using that courage and grit to get to you where you want to go. So we've tried to embody this in our company. We do things that are scary, and it doesn't always work. And what we've learned is that that's just part of the game. It's part of the game. You're going to try some stuff. Not everything is going to work. And you just pick yourself off the pavement. And you don't need a whole lot more than that. When you couple that with continuous improvement, which is all about, focusing on incremental as opposed to revolutionary change. So incremental improvement by tweaking things and improving it a little bit. We've all heard you improve yourself by 1% each day. Well, at the end of the year, you're going to be, twice as effective as you were a year ago. And that's true in every area of life: health, relationships, business, sales, marketing, you name it. And then customer success. And that's one that's really personal to us as a company. Customer success is really just everything that we do is designed with success in mind. It's not theory. It's not philosophy. It comes from what has worked for us in our business and how can we transform that into a framework, into a technology, into a methodology, and pass that on to our clients so they can have the same level of success in their own business. So courage and grit is a big part of what we do, and it's a big part of what we found to be successful among the hybrid experts that we serve and support in our business.
Thank you, Ryan. I really appreciate that. In doing some research on the company, I found an astounding statistic. One of the part of the principle of the hybrid program. Am I right to know that you have now helped people in over 100 different countries, and that when I ran the number, this blew my mind. These people now have touched in some capacity online 1.02% of the Earth's population with this methodology. I was so blown away. It was like 82 million people or something. And I was like, wow, that is so. Firstly, congratulations. I mean, that's an achievement beyond most people's expectations.
I think it's a testament to, I'll say it like this, the core value conversation that we just had around courage and grit, continuous improvement, and customer success. We find that those core values attract other people with similar core values, people who are about delivering success to their own clients. That gentleman that I mentioned to you a moment ago, who does the advising of students into elite universities, elite colleges, his track record is impeccable. Every single one of his clients in the history of his company has gotten into their first or second choice school, their top choice or their second choice school of every client that he's ever worked with. And I think about the ripple effect of what that means. What that means is the work that we do is having an impact on his business. The work that he does is having an impact on his clients and their lives and the lives that they're going to touch. So it's this ripple effect of customer success. So I want to give the credit to the experts that we work with. I don't want to really take much credit there. But to your point on the numbers, just to show you the scale at which this operates. Yes, we've worked with clients in 100 different countries. We have over 14,000 different clients who have gone through our process. And our technology solution, which is the tool that people use for building their hybrid funnels, for delivering their hybrid workshops, has reached 82 million people around the world. And what that means is, when you do the math, as you just did, that is basically about 1% of humanity. And so for me, I mean, that's incredibly gratifying. It's a nice kind of number to kind of, share the scale at which this is effective. But I think it's also something that can inspire confidence. If anyone is considering using this methodology in their business, that this is something that's been tested, it's been stress tested, it's been battle tested, it's been used across cultures, across languages. It's a methodology that works. It's a process that works. And it's a process that works irrespective if you are in a B2B space, like the example that you're sharing, Doug, in the B2C space, like the example that I was sharing in the college admission space, or if you do a hybrid and you do a mix of both.
Awesome. So, Ryan, I have one last question. And I can say yes, but I really want to have your answer to this, because I'm living proof that this works. And I honestly, I'm intelligent, but I had like a C average in school. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't really, something that my parents were probably bragging to their friends about. But I've done okay. Can anybody do this? Do they need do you need like a PhD or a high education or whatever, right? I mean, can anybody start and do this?
Yeah, it's a great question. What I'll say is, can anybody do this? Probably not. And that's the honest truth. So who is this not for? This is not for you if you are selling like a physical widget. If you're selling, widgets on Amazon or on a Shopify store, the approach that we have is not for you. If you are selling, for example, you're a restaurant, you're a gas station, you're a local business selling something in a local fashion, this is probably not for you. This is also not for you if you haven't figured out your business. Like, if you don't have a market, if you don't have something to sell, if you don't have some true expertise, something of value that you can offer the world, then this approach that we're talking about, this hybrid expert model, is not for you. That said, if you have something of value that you can offer the world, if you have some true expertise in some area of business or life, if you have some coaching element, consulting element, some training element, some sort of knowledge-based element to your business, then with the right training, with the right support, and the right technology, which we found is the critical combination, this is arguably the single most effective approach to achieve leverage in your business and in your life using what we're talking about here today. It's something I'm incredibly passionate about because it wasn't that long ago that I was an unleveraged business consultant who was trying to make things work, who ended up in the hospital because I had burnt myself out. I'd burned the candle on both ends. I was the bottleneck in my business and something needed to change. Fast forward to here today, my life is completely changed, completely transformed. And I'm incredibly passionate about sharing this with other experts, no matter where they may be in their business, in the early stages of their business or generating millions of dollars and wanting to shift their model, tweak what's not working, fix the things that are broken in their business and get to that next level so that they have a business that works around their life.
Ryan, how do people find out more about, I'm sure people are like, okay, I got it. Ryan, what's the next step? How do I find out more, about the company, about you, or about, the hybrid model in general?
Yeah, it's a great question. So you mentioned our company, the Ask Method Company. We have a platform called hybridexpert.com. And if you go to hybridexpert.com/workshop, we have a workshop that we deliver that you can sign up for. It's actually happening right around the corner. So the timing of this interview is perfect, where we go into much more detail talking about the hybrid funnel, the hybrid workshop, the hybrid program, and how to combine these elements together and how to use them based on where you are right now in your business. Identify where you are on these levels of leverage. What are the biggest bottlenecks in your business and what a custom plan might look like for implementing this yourself. You can find that at hybridexpert.com/workshop. And I'd love to invite you to join us for the one that we have coming up.
Great. Thanks, Ryan. I wrote that down. We'll have that in the show notes for everybody. Mr. Ryan Levesque, thank you for being on the CEO Sales Strategies podcast and being such a gracious guest. Thanks again.
Thanks, Doug. Appreciate it.
All right. That was a great episode. I don't know about you, but I have 4 pages of notes and I have 3 words for you. Well, actually 4. First 3, attract, enroll, deliver. I'm going to say it again. Attract, enroll, deliver. A simple model that when you do this right, you optimize the proportions of those 3 functions, attract, enroll, deliver. It creates leverage. The more you optimize that, the more leverage you get. The more leverage you get, the more discretionary time. Usually, the more funds coming through your business as well. Isn't that kind of cool that you can focus on these 3 areas, attract, enroll, deliver. And those 3 areas will create massive leverage for you and for your life. And you could start by writing down, what do you want your life to be like? And then you can go back and look at these 3 functions. And isn't it cool today that we can attract people from all over the world? I mean, think about this, all over the globe, cost effectively. As long as you know the right way to do this and the right methodology to do this, you can bring people into your world all from a simple task of understanding how to do it and putting it into play. Now, I will make a confirmation on the Ask Method Company because I use some of that, a lot of it actually in our business here today, and it's made a big difference in the leverage components of what we've been able to do here. And we have a global reach. We're all over the world. It's very strange to me to think, I grew up as a kid here in the United States, that I have clients all throughout Europe and Africa, right? I have clients in Asia. I have clients in Australia. I have clients in the United Kingdom. I have them in Canada. I have them in Central America, South America. I have them in the United States. It's really kind of mind-blowing to me when you think about it, that you can cost effectively attract people, get them interested in what you do, and help them solve a problem or gain the opportunity in their life from understanding these 3 simple processes, which is attract, enroll, deliver, and how to optimize those, put them into a plan, put them into a process, and launch that process. So in your show notes, you will have the URL for you to be able to attend a workshop. I highly recommend that you do so. If you love this episode, please share it with your friends, give it a 5-star review. If you are an expert or someone else is an expert and you yourself or that expert would like to be interviewed for their expertise, send in an email to youmatter, youmatter, at ceosalesstrategies.com and let us know what it is. We will respond to everybody, we promise. We have an upcoming 1% Academy. In other words, how to teach you how to be into the top 1% earners through selling. If you're interested in that, or you're interested in our software, which is called Vibitno, Vibitno will be coming out. It's an automated prospecting and automated follow-up, meaningful and relevant conversion system. Reach out to me directly at doug@ceosalesstrategies.com. We'll put you on the waiting list if you wish. And when both of those are coming due, which will be this year, we'll notify you. So once again, thank you for being here on the CEO Sales Strategies podcast. Thank you to Mr. Ryan Levesque. For you, go out today and sell something. Sell a lot of it. Sell it profitably. Play win-win. That means you win, they win, right? That means you help them with a problem or an opportunity they want to gain. You get paid for that. It's a great relationship. It spawns referrals and it spawns great lives for everybody. Think about the legacy that you created for yourself, but think about the people that you can affect their generations to come, because what you do today can literally make happiness in somebody's life or the altar of that, but play win-win. It creates true happiness through generations to come. Thanks again for being here. This is Doug C. Brown with the CEO Sales Strategies podcast, saying to your success.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the CEO Sales Strategies podcast. What is something that you learned that you could act on today? Don't forget to schedule it now, or it may never get forward momentum. If you find our content valuable, please leave a favorable review and let us know what you liked. Please also share this with others if the content will help them. For our show notes, other episodes, and more interesting content and resources, please visit ceosalesstrategiespodcast.com. See you soon, and to your continued success.